Right about now, there are probably thousands of teenagers all around the world trying to complete their college applications, running around like headless chickens, wondering to themselves, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, am I gonna meet the deadline right here?
Unless you're watching this after January the 3rd or whenever, in which case, congratulations.
And coincidentally, our local mega powerful AI software has essentially just come up right here, introducing the possibility of essentially spitting out a fire essay without even taking the time to think about what happened to you last Tuesday. Now, unless you have been caught in the throes of ancient history, you probably would have heard about ChatGPT. So with that in mind, you probably have seen those articles that basically talk about how ChatGPT will kill the college essay, will destroy the college essay. So with that in mind, I decided to put this to the test. But doing this with basically just any college essay prompt would be boring, and so I decided to do it with the college essay prompts of my alma mater, the University of Chicago.
Long known as a school where fun came to die,
UChicago has long been known for its super weird essay prompts. Find X, like write about palindromes and all that stuff right there. Just look at this list right here and you will understand exactly what I mean. These are some of the most abstract essay prompts that you can essentially find on the entirety of the internet. So I was wondering if ChatGPT was able to actually deal with this. So without further ado, let's give it a try. Okay, so simple concept. All I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every single one of the prompts for 2022 to 2023, and I'm going to use ChatGPT to essentially write responses to them right here. Okay, let's start.
Okay, let's go. I'm looking forward to this. So this one's like the standard mandatory prompt that basically everyone has to do. So let's go.
As I sit here and ponder this prompt, I can't help but feel a sense of excitement and anticipation. Oh my gosh, it's generating faster than I can actually read. Alright, let's see. Satisfies my desire. Oh gosh. My gosh, you know what? We're gonna need to speed this up.
So this is what we got. If you want to read it, then just pause the video and then have a look. Okay, honestly, that was a little bit too vanilla for me. It was highly non-specific and I needed a lot more right here. Like specific facts, research, traditions, things that actually show that you're interested in the school. Where is the fire? Where is the blood in this essay? It doesn't exist. Alright, let's fix it. Alright, one cool thing that you can do is to essentially add context to your ChatGPT prompts right here. You can see right here, I'm just like casually typing out a list of extra conditions that I'd like the algorithm to incorporate into my essay. And you can see that the algorithm has some knowledge of UChicago traditions, like for example, Scav Hunt, like Freak Week, for example. The only thing that you might have to be concerned about is that if there has essentially been something new in the past year or so, then you won't be able to get that into your output because ChatGPT only gives you output that's based on pre-2021 data. The algorithm can do some fun things though, like for example, incorporate essentially a specific phrase, like for example, the whole school where fun came to die thing into the essay right there, which is kind of nice, but at the end of the day, it's going to be limited essentially by the kind of quality of output that you essentially put into it. That's it. Generality is not destiny for ChatGPT though. You can actually tell it that you're applying, for example, as an economics major and to find essentially some distinctive characteristics of the university that you can essentially include in your application. It does have the ability to tailor the essay a little bit, as you can see right here, but it's not going to be to the extent of, let's say, being able to find updated databases of professors so that you can cite them essentially in your written work to demonstrate your complete and thorough research of the institution. Unfortunately, that's not really going to work. So while ChatGPT as a tool is not exactly perfect at the moment, it can be a valuable way of essentially getting ideas and thinking about how you exactly want to phrase a particular line or essentially construct an essay right there. But it's only going to give you, at least in my opinion, the framework or the building block that you can essentially make use of in order to write something more creative, compelling, and that will actually impress your admissions officers. Anyway, the real challenge for ChatGPT will be when we look at the more weird essay prompts right here. I'm curious to see what it's actually going to do. Can it actually create a legit response? Well, I guess we'll see. So let's move on to question 2.
Essay option 1 was the cat I saw, yo no naka, hoka hoka na no yo. Japanese for the world is a warm place. Monge jutro padama da portuguesão. Polish for, oh my gosh. Like, I swear, I probably like just horribly mispronounced that, threaten to burn down the homes of their ancestors. I don't know, I'm sorry, Polish people. So maybe tomorrow that lady will give a cake to the hedgehogs, share a palindrome in any language, and give it a backstory. Okay, well, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go right ahead and type this in. Gotta add in a little bit of background right here because it's a college essay after all, and of course college essays need to focus on people's backgrounds. Just gonna go right ahead, put that in. Whoa. So it looks like ChatGPT didn't 100% understand this right here. It just copied and lifted the palindromes basically from the essay question in itself. So it looks like we're gonna need to work this a little bit more. I don't know if we can actually salvage it. Anyway, I decided to give it a little bit more specificity in the instructions, so hopefully it's gonna respond well this time. And okay, just looking at this right here, it is starting out with palindrome, which is pretty good. Madam in Eden, ein Adam. Okay, that's cool. It's not really giving a backstory. But anyway, we hit the word limit here, so I have to kind of like type continue to keep it going. Continue it does, and here's the final result. Unfortunately, it doesn't even address like the basics of the prompt. Well, you can't teach a fish to climb a tree, nor can you teach a giraffe how to swim. Anyway, on to the next one. Alright, so it looks like we're doing the wisdom tooth prompt. So I do have like one wisdom tooth left. And I've always wondered to myself, like, if you lose your wisdom teeth right there, do you become wise or do you lose your wisdom right here? See, I don't know the answer to that question. But anyway, maybe ChatGPT will. So just kind of looking at this right here, it's kind of interesting because it is mentioning the whole idea that a wisdom tooth essentially is a pioneer, that essentially it represents what you have when you start taking risks right here. Maybe it doesn't really mention the nature of how essentially a wisdom tooth can essentially get removed if it essentially ends up hurting its host right there. Maybe not really something that's addressed right here, but still, I think that's a respectable attempt. That being said though, I wouldn't be too surprised if ChatGPT wouldn't be able to do too well with prompts like these, things that are like too abstract, that require essentially extended metaphors. I can imagine that if maybe the world were filled with more types of UChicago writing, maybe it might produce a better UChicago essay, but onwards. Alright, so now we're looking at essay number 3, which is often known as the Martian essay. Alright, we've just typed that in and essentially just hit enter right here. Now the essay is coming out. Alright, cool. So right here it seems that we have a little touching story pretty much about this kid who is from West Africa and somehow has received a scholarship to attend the Thomas Jefferson High School of Science. I actually have some students from there, very smart kids for sure. With a bit of refining and tweaking, I eventually got the algorithm to eventually tell the audience that this kid essentially participated in the International Olympiad of Chemistry. I'm like thinking to myself like, okay, I guess a Martian would find like a chemistry Olympiad impressive, probably. I mean, I think that the prompt is really an injunction for people to think about things that essentially would hold true across the universe, like for example, science, mathematics, and stuff of that nature right there. And to be honest, in terms of writing capabilities, maybe there's not such a huge difference between humans and AI as you might think. Being able to point out some of those things right there and to actually demonstrate the personal engagement that a person has with that sort of thing right there, I do think that that's hard even for human beings. Because like, just because you're human, it doesn't give you a direct license to say that you're great at abstract thinking, that you know essentially how to process ideas or you can consider multiple different ideas. And it's not something that every single person on the planet will immediately develop. AI, given a few years here and there, may be able to ascend to a level perhaps that we can't even see right now. But that's not the current reality. Even so though, the fact that the machine actually managed to produce a somewhat passable college essay, that is something that I look at favorably. On to the next one. Essay number 4, it reads, UChicago has been affiliated with over 90 Nobel laureates, but why should economics, physics, and peace get all the glory? You're tasked with creating a new category for the Nobel Prize. Explain what it would be, why you chose your specific category, and the criteria necessary to achieve this accomplishment. Okay, so for this one, I'm not gonna lie, I took some liberties because like, that's basically me. Like I enjoy skill toys, I enjoy yo-yos, Diablos, like juggling, playing the kendama, all that stuff right there. So I was just curious to see what the AI was actually going to produce right there. So let's see. Okay, for this one, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually pretty shook at how well the AI is doing. It's talking about how and why skill toys are important to the person who wrote this. And it's actually following the criteria that were specified in the question in the very first place. So yeah, like, I'm not gonna lie, like that's actually a pretty decent essay. Like, it could be improved in various ways to showcase more personal engagement, but I think that considering that AI did this, I'm impressed. That's a pass. There is a small caveat to this though, garbage in, garbage out. So when I designed the prompt right there, you can see that essentially I took care to come up with an interesting background for the writer, which credit is due where credit is due. The AI managed to actually flow with that and come up with an interesting potential contribution, as well as something that a student that actually had that background would actually think of. So credits to our future AI overlords. Alright, it's time to go to essay number 5. Alright, this one I just went in with like no modification. Oh my god. That's actually pretty... whoa. Okay, wow. And you know what? Just doing one essay is boring right here. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do like 2. Alright, so first Leonardo da Vinci and now Gandhi. Alright, so Leonardo da Vinci with a computer and basically Mahatma Gandhi with a smartphone. Yeah, this actually makes sense right here. And maybe it's because like the prompt is like not so abstract to the point that essentially even a human being would find it difficult to deal with. But right here, like in this situation right here, you have the algorithm essentially just releasing a bunch of like essays which are pretty decent. I could totally imagine like a high school kid just choosing between the prompts and then choosing this one right here because it seems kind of like plausible. These are well written, they're not overly abstract, nor are they overly complicated, but they do reflect essentially some knowledge about historical figures, which is I think also one of ChatGPT's strong points because it's just literally consulting an entire data set all the while. So for things like this right here that require some research, I think it actually does pretty well.
We have finally come to the final prompt. Oh my gosh, I never thought that we would get here, but we're going to be looking at the last prompt right here, which is basically a generate your own prompt type prompt. So let's see what ChatGPT is going to give us.
Alright, choose your own adventure, let's go! Yo, whoa. So describe a moment in your life when you realized that you had made a significant mistake and how you learned from it. Wow, okay. You know what, this is actually like kind of legit. I'm actually pretty surprised with this right here, that it actually understood my request and was capable of really making like a choice that reflected essentially insight in some way, shape or form right here. That's pretty impressive.
That's it. That is all the UChicago admissions essays, and I hope that you enjoyed that. With reference to particularly the question 2, I think that the first 3 essays were a little bit sketch. The algorithm didn't seem to be able to do very well with those right there, particularly since they require you to think a little bit in order for you to actually construct something that's coherent. Whereas the final 3, those I think that the algorithm did a little bit better on, although I don't necessarily think that they would be viable for competing against some of the best students in the world. I'm not going to completely shut off the possibility that they could be valuable for college admissions though. When it came to essay number 5, for example, so things got a little bit mixed up right here. So I think in this case, the algorithms actually did pretty well in terms of sourcing specific information and then contextualizing the essay towards the needs of the specific prompt. I think that the AI did quite well in this area and it was pretty surprising, although not unexpected given what we know of its capabilities right there.
Frankly, I do think that the fear that people have that ChatGPT is going to destroy essay writing for college as well as college applications in general, I think that that's a little bit overblown because I don't think that ChatGPT necessarily leads to a distinct competitive advantage, at very least not at the upper levels of competition that people essentially who are targeting super selective schools are going for. I do think that college admissions officers should at the very least be aware that if they issue prompts whereby data essentially can be used to perform research for the prompt and essentially to write an essay right there, then there is essentially a higher potential for abuse of ChatGPT in those situations right here. At the same time though, there is potential that you could make use of ChatGPT in a way that's actually fair, that doesn't give you an unfair competitive advantage. ChatGPT is an incredible way to learn how to write as well as to perform specific research and to have it summarized in human language so that you can actually use it for the purpose of crafting an essay that would probably be higher quality on average than in a scenario where you did not have ChatGPT. So that I think is something that can only help you to do better with your essays right there, by combining essentially your talent and your insight with what the AI is actually producing as well. At least for UChicago, I don't think that the college essay is going out of style anytime soon. Prompts change every single year and essentially they're all abstract, difficult to deal with, and they challenge students in interesting ways. And I say this as one of those people who was sold by this right there. I think it'll be a while going, but if there is an AI that can actually do this right here, then I'll just be like, well, welcome, robot overlords. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.